I get way too excited about making new spreads. So, hello, Bujo Bandits. I'm pumped. I made a few posts in the Minimalist Bullet Journal group about my frustration in needing a way to track school stuff better. So, Frankenlog's great, but it follows the Ryder Carroll style of really just putting all of your monthly tasks, your undated stuff, into one bank. And I'm struggling because I feel like I need my GTD fix. I've got to be able to have my contexts, and I want to be able to see them all in one place, which means I have to come up with a way to fit the contexts into Frankenlog. So I started messing with that today, obviously, instead of doing the work I should have been doing. And I started working with it today, and my first thought was that I wanted to do it with a Frankenlog, like a standard Frankenlog with the calendar, because I do tend to prefer that. So I started working with that in mind, and I came up with, and I've heard some people complain that my videos are too shaky, so I'm trying to be very careful and smooth this time. All right, so let's go. This was what I was going to come up with for Frankenlog. I know it looks insane, blah, 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 I'm a Frankenlog. And what I thought I could do was, ignore this up here for now, just pretend that's not there. I thought what I could do was I'd have Frankenlog here, and then all of this could be one context, and then all of this could be another context, and then, like, boom, you could have another context here and another context here. I thought you could actually go vertical if you wanted to, but I was trying to keep with the theme of having, this be one context, this be one context. If you don't have a lot of things every month, I have a lot of things, I tend to have a lot of things, these could all be totally separate contexts. So there's 6 right there. And then there's 7, 8. But right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then close that back up, 5, 6. And then I had this big space up there. And at first I thought, oh, why don't I just make a giant Frankenlog calendar across the top? But then I realized once you use that much space, you can pretty much write your entire, you might be able to just fit everything into the day. So I don't know how Frankenloggy that would be, but if you wanted to, you could. You could have a big, gorgeous calendar all the way across the top. But I also thought, just keep Frankenlog there, and then this could be like just modular, like whatever you need to use it for. So it could be a little spot for things for next month, or things for this month, that don't have a specific date. Your month's focus and goals, highlights, whatever. You can have the space and use it for what you want. And I like that idea, and I like the idea of the Dutch door, sort of an interesting Dutch door. But I thought I really need to try to do it with Frankenlite. And because, one, I suspected, and I ended up being correct, by the way, that Frankenlite was going to be a better format for the contexts. And 2, more people tend to like Frankenlite, has been my opinion, I think. It seems like more people like Frankenlite. But I also wanted to make sure that I'm incorporating all the stuff that I've come up with for Frankenlog 1.5, which does include that this month and next month feature, so that you can have a place to put things that are going to be for later on. So let me show you smoothly, carefully, smoothly, not too shaky. I also have like the video stabilization on, so hopefully that's helping a little bit. So how can you tell in your Frankenlog whether they're coming, which contexts they're coming from? So these would all just be regular letters. As you know, usually in Frankenlog, I'll go A through Z, and then when I run out of letters, I'll start again, A through Z, and I'll underline, then A through Z, and I'll circle, A through Z, and I'll square. Usually doesn't get that far. But by just starting with that, so everything that's just plain letters is this context. Everything that's this letter over here is, anything with a circle around it is this context. Anything underlined is this. Anything with dots around it like that is that context. And then anything with a square, anything with a double underline. I'm going to get ready. Motion sick people, close your eyes. Okay, hi. Okay, so what are contexts? In the world of getting things done, the rule is you don't just have one to-do list. You have a list for all the places you might be. Let me try to make more sense. There's no point, if you're out in a shop, if you have a shopping list, is actually a perfect example of a context. When you go shopping, you make a specific list for the grocery store. You don't include on that list things that you can't do at the grocery store. So you don't have balance my checkbook, get my coat tailored, or maybe if you have like an errand list you would, but you don't have like replace water filter on softener, things like that, because you can't do them in that context, and it muddies the water. It makes it so that you always have to scan through a bunch of things that aren't relevant for what you're trying to do in the moment. So he takes that a step further. Not only have an errand or a shopping list, but also have a list for at home. These are things you can only do when you are at home. A list for at work. These are things you can only do at work, at school. Or you might have a specified context. Like I like to have one for at study, which is a list of things I need to look at when I decide to sit down at the computer and study things. David Allen, the guy who came up with getting things done, he would have a context at computer. So these are the only things he can do at his computer. I feel like almost everything I do is at a computer, so that context isn't great for me, but he does have at calls or at phone calls. So this is a list of phone calls you would need to make. So by having these different contexts, whenever you find yourself in a certain circumstance, you can look at the list for that context, for that circumstance. That's what context means. And that's what I'm trying to bring into my bullet journal. I want to be able to follow getting things done, but I also want to try to stay analog. I just like analog. The digital has so many advantages, but I realized I was journaling about it. Funny enough, journaling in my bullet journal. Remember when I said I went digital? I went back just because I liked it. Here's the thing. I love Todoist. I love the ease of digital, but the ease is my problem. It's so easy that I don't pay attention to what I'm doing. It's so easy that I don't go back and look at the things that I'm supposed to be looking at. So it doesn't matter that it's convenient and easy if it means that I'm no longer mindful of what I'm doing. Does that make sense? I think that's my problem and why I find myself thinking it's a bad idea to try to go back to digital. There are huge advantages as far as future logging goes. Todoist makes future logging beyond simple, and I'm probably going to be doing an amalgam. Probably. I'm not very committed here. Anyways, I'm supposed to be telling you about Frankenlite GTD. So let's start talking about that. Motion sick people, close your eyes. My arm is burning with lactic acid right now. Okay, motion sick people, close your eyes. Here we go. Nice and smooth, no funny business. All right, open your eyes again. Here we go. This is going to be Frankenlite. So my started planning for Frankenlite, and you guys know Frankenlite. You'll see more of it in just a second. You got your calendar over here, and then you have your lists, your columns for lists. But instead, you would have context. So at first I was like, yeah, you have a context here, you have a context here, you have a context here. But I don't like covering the calendar. I never want to cover the calendar. I want to be able to look at the calendar all the time whenever I'm looking at my list of things to do. That is one of the reasons I was such a big fan of the Dutch door in the original Frankenlog setup. Doing something so that no matter what, I'm not covering that calendar. In case anybody was watching going, why did you bother with that? I don't want to cover the calendar. So same thing here, I don't want to cover the calendar. So by taking this page, we fold it in half, and it's not really a Dutch door because it's not being cut. Maybe you call it a Dutch door. But here's the deal. Now you could have a context here, context here, context here. You can open this up, another 2 contexts here. So these are all different lists. And then you can flip this over and you have another context and another context. Now I want lots of contexts. You could have maybe 6 contexts, and then in here you could have some other thing. Again, you could have the goals or your highlights of the month, whatever. Pick one of these panels and use it for something else. So that was the plan. We're in the back. I had pages left over from my last journal, which I like to use. We're in the lab, as you will, if you will, of the old journal. So that was the lab setup. So let me introduce you to, for the first time ever, we have, let me close that up. This is Frankenlite GTD, and this is with Frankenlog 1.5 model, I guess, or whatever. I mean, not being shaky. So here's your standard Frankenlite setup for the most part, and you'll see there's a row for every day of the month, and I've broken the weeks up with lines, and you can see that I wrote the day of the week next to each number. And then along here, hey, focus. There we go. Along here, you've got your habit tracker set. So along here, each day has a box. And in each box, I can track several habits by using these little lines right here. And if I do all of my habits, it's a star day. Yay! You could actually put a 5th habit in there if you wanted to. You could use the dot. That's what I was originally doing. I've gone down on habits, but you could put a dot there, and then you could put a dot there, and then you could have 5 habits per day. You could also do less habits per day by having this be like a cross and this be a plus and just have 2 habits a day. Anyways, that's your little key. That could be whatever you want it to be, and you use those each day. You can put the marks in each day to see how well you did. So you can track a number of habits pretty easily. I also have, oh man, I forgot to write them in. Hold on, let's see if I can do it while I'm filming. Y1, Y2, that one thing I go to, working on the bills, and weekly planning. Over here you have weekly habits. So you'll see that there's a week right here. Bam, that's 1 week. And within that week, you can track 5 habits for that week. Now, even though they're on the same line as some of these days, that doesn't matter. Just think of this as part of the week. So during this week, if I go to yoga once, I get a check mark there. If I go to yoga twice, I get a check mark there. If I go to that one thing, I get a check mark. If I do the bills, if I do my planning for the week. So I can check off. So these are the way to track weekly habits. These are daily habits. These are weekly habits. All right. And that's part of Frankenlite. That's not everybody's favorite. I think everybody's favorite is the lettering system. So here's how this works. Every day you have a line here that you can use to put down letters. I know this is redundant for some of you guys, but sometimes people see this for the first time and they don't know what the hell I'm talking about, so I wanted to be specific. So each day of the week you have this line. In addition, over here you've got all these panels, and these are different contexts. So these are tasks for work, tasks for when I'm at home. These are study or school tasks, even though that's not technically a place. It's something that's relevant to that. And you'll see for each of these contexts, I have a different type of letter. You know, underlined, circled. Then if we flip this over, I have media. So I'm using triple dot around the letter, sort of like a piece of film for media, so stuff for the website and YouTube and things like that. Errands. Errands has a double line underneath. And then if we want to flip this open, we have people. So this is text or calls I want to make, or things I need to mention to certain people will all be here. And I did a little like chevron on top and bottom. And then this is literally at school. I go to Governor State, so something with a square on it. I don't have any tasks there. So the way this works is that my tasks are broken up onto these contexts. So when I'm at these places, I can just look at that list and know that there are things that have to be done. And that helps me to know which undated tasks need to be done where. I have that right here. If I want to put them on the calendar, I can just say, like, for work, I have to back up the data. I mean, you guys are so sick of seeing backup databases and doctors' invoices. They're like on every single Frankenlog video. So backup databases, I do it every Friday. So I take that letter A, and every Friday, did I not put backup databases? Oh, there it is. Why did I not do it here? Interesting. Brian's making mistakes. He's getting all excited to film. Buy fruit. Oh, because on the 6th, I was supposed to... Interesting. I made a mistake. Ignore that. Also, kind of digging using pencil right now, I gotta tell you. It sure makes it a lot easier to set this stuff up. So there's backup databases. Backup databases, backup databases. So I can just use the letter over and over in every place that I want to place it. Same thing with things on these other lists. So confirm appointment with a client at school. So that's a circle, A with a circle. So every day that I need to do that, A with a circle, A with a circle, A with a circle, A with a circle. So by looking at this, once I get used to my symbols, and I'm not used to them yet, but once I get used to the symbols, I'll be able to look at a given day and not only see how many things I have to do, but what context they're related to. Because I'll know that stuff with a circle around it is related to school, things with nothing around it is related to work, and stuff with an underline is for home. For home. So it just takes a little getting used to. But this allows me to keep my GTD lists, contexts, separate, but still have them in a Frankenlog format and still be able to always see the calendar, so I'm never blocking my calendar off. In addition, as you guys know, I like to have a box for each week where I can put tasks that just need to happen during that week. So this is something I really want to happen during that week. I can take it off of the context list and take its letter with its whatever little symbol around it, and put it on for that week. So I've got some space here to do that. And this is nothing. And so I have a space for each week, but then I also wanted to add in, because I saw somebody do this and I really liked it, this is just things that have to happen this month. I'm starting a new job at the beginning of July. I'm super excited about it, and that means there's some things that I just need to get done this month, and they are right here on this, and most of them, it looks like, are just errands. Some stuff I'm running out of softener salt, so I just need to go get water softener salt, so that's an E. With a double underline, we put it under this month. So I have these things are under this month. And then you have next month. If there's something that you want to write down and it's going to be coming up, you don't want to bother with a future log, you could put it here and you could write the date in the entry. So if I knew that, maybe I just want to make a note to myself that something is due for school next month, I could say like, letter E, 7, 8, thing due. Right? And then I could take that letter E with a circle around it and do like that. So this is it. This is Frankenlite GTD. It's got weekly habit trackers, daily habit trackers, a place to log stuff for the to schedule stuff for the week, for each day, for this month, for next month. It's got the habit trackers down here. It's pretty good, and I think motion sickness people, close your eyes and open them again. I think not bad. I mean, it took a little time the first time to draw it here. I think it'll get easier with time. I know some people, the reason they don't like Frankenlog and they prefer Frankenlite is because they don't have to draw as much, and this has some drawing involved. But this isn't bad. Like, this might work for me. I think I still have to work out the kinks. I hope that's enough context for me. If you have more context than I do, you could split these in half. We're moving, get ready. So you could put a line here and then have additional context. I do think it's going to start getting challenging to come up with additional ways to write letters. This is my obstinate refusal to go with color, because we don't use color in the minimalist group. Please check the group rules. However, if you were to color code, not saying that you should, because whatever, hippie, but if you did, boy, that would be a lot easier, right? Like, you would be able to just see the color and get familiar with the colors and know what they are based on that. That's it. I'm going to stop talking. This has gotten very long. Is this the longest one yet? I was very excited about this, and I spent too much time on it. But hopefully this helps me to solve my problem with digital versus analog. And we'll see. My future log, I think, probably stays digital. Not entirely sure how I'm going to incorporate everything, but this makes me feel better about knowing what goes where and when. That's it, guys. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon. No, I won't talk to you at all, probably. Some of you, I do. And the ones I send weird voice messages to. Everybody else, I'll see you guys in the group. And comments are welcome. Let me know what you think. Thanks.